Dr. Zethkari had spent 3 cycles studying the peculiar species known as humans, focusing particularly on their neurological responses to physical trauma. As the Galactic Council's leading xenobiologist, she had documented pain tolerance across 47 sentient species. None had prepared her for what she was witnessing now. The human specimen, Sergeant Marcus Chen, according to his identification tags, lay strapped to her examination table, multiple sensors attached to his exposed torso. The bioscanners painted a grim picture: 14 fractured ribs, internal bleeding, severe tissue damage from plasma burns. Any other species would have succumbed to shock cycles ago, yet the human was conscious. More disturbing still, he was smiling. "Fascinating," Zethkari murmured, her 4 primary eyes studying the readouts while her secondary pair observed the subject. "Your pain receptors are firing at maximum capacity, yet your vital signs remain stable. How is this possible?" Marcus shifted slightly, wincing as the movement aggravated his injuries. "Doc, you remind me of my daughter's science teacher. Same bedside manner, too." He chuckled, then immediately regretted it as pain lanced through his chest. Zethkari's tentacles writhed in confusion, a clear sign of distress among her species. In her research, she had discovered that humans possessed an unusual pain threshold, nearly 3 times higher than the galactic average. But this went beyond mere tolerance. This human was exhibiting active defiance of his body's distress signals. "I must understand," she said, adjusting her translation matrix. "Your species fascinates our scientific community. We have observed humans performing incredible feats while severely injured, a human mother lifting a ground vehicle to save her offspring, soldiers continuing to fight with fatal wounds. Your kind seems to possess an ability to override basic survival programming." Marcus met her gaze, his brown eyes steady despite the obvious pain. "It's not about overriding anything, Doc. It's about having something bigger than the hurt." The alien scientist paused her data collection. Elaborate. "Back on Earth, we've got this saying: pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. See, every species probably feels pain the same way. Warning signals, self-preservation, all that biological stuff. But humans, we've learned to make pain serve us instead of the other way around." Zethkari's instruments detected a fascinating neurochemical cascade occurring in the human's brain. Endorphins, adrenaline, and other compounds were creating a complex cocktail that seemed to enhance rather than diminish his cognitive function. "Your brain chemistry is rewriting itself in real time," she observed. "Most species experience decreased mental capacity during severe trauma. You appear to be achieving the opposite." Marcus grinned, blood staining his teeth. "Yeah, well, humans are pretty good at being stubborn. You should see us during flu season." The examination chamber's doors hissed open, and Zethkari's research assistant, Dr. Veltar, entered with urgent news. "Doctor, we're receiving distress signals from Sector 7. The humans unit is under attack. The commander is requesting immediate medical intervention." Marcus tried to sit up, his restraints preventing the movement. "My squad? How bad is it?" 17 wounded, 3 critically. Veltar reported, his scales shifting to a worried yellow hue. "They're requesting the return of their medic." "I'm not a medic," Marcus said, then paused. "Well, not officially, but I've got field training." He looked directly at Zethkari. "Doc, I need you to patch me up enough to function. My people need me." Zethkari's tentacles coiled in disbelief. "Impossible. Your injuries require weeks of recovery time. Any movement could cause fatal internal bleeding. Then I guess you'd better work fast." What followed challenged everything Zethkari understood about biology and psychology. As she began emergency surgical procedures, Marcus not only remained conscious but began sharing stories about his squad, their families, their dreams, their inside jokes. He guided her through human anatomy, pointing out the most critical areas to address first. "Careful around that rib there, Doc. It's probably pressing against my lung." "Yeah, that's the spot. You know, this reminds me of the time our demolitions expert had to dig shrapnel out of his own leg with a spoon." The alien surgeon found herself laughing, a sound her species made rarely, and only in situations of pure joy. This human was performing surgery on himself through conversation, staying alert and engaged while she worked to save his life. 2 hours later, Marcus was sitting up, his torso wrapped in synthetic tissue bandages and pumped full of stimulants that would have killed most beings. Zethkari had managed to stabilize his internal bleeding, and reinforce his damaged ribs with biocompatible supports. This is medically inadvisable, she warned as he tested his range of motion. You should be unconscious, possibly dead. Marcus stood slowly, accepted his weapon from Veltar and checked its charge level. Doc, let me tell you something about humans. We don't fight because we don't feel pain. We fight because we've learned that some things hurt worse than dying. He headed toward the chamber exit, then paused. Thanks for the patch job. When this is over, I'll tell you about the time my grandmother walked 15 kilometers on a broken ankle to get help for my grandfather. Now that's a story about pain tolerance. As the chamber doors closed behind him, Zethkari stared at her instruments in wonder. Her readings showed that the human's pain levels hadn't decreased at all during the procedure. If anything, they had intensified. Yet he had not only endured but had somehow transformed that suffering into determination. She began updating her research notes with a new hypothesis. Humans didn't simply tolerate pain, they weaponized it. 3 hours later, word came from Sector 7. Marcus's squad had been successfully evacuated, with 0 additional casualties. The human had carried 2 wounded soldiers nearly a kilometer to the extraction point, before finally allowing himself to collapse. Zethkari decided that her next research project would focus on an even more mysterious human phenomenon, something they called love. After all, she was beginning to suspect it might be the source of their impossible strength.